Hello and welcome to SLP Full Disclosure. I am your host, Jennifer Martin, and joining me is my international man of mystery sidekick, Jonathan Carey.
That was one of your better ones. I feel like you're progressively getting better.
You know, oftentimes in my life, I progressively get worse. So this is actually a really nice turn to get better at something. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, you got to soak it in.
I know. I'll take what I can get.
Or maybe this is just the upswing in the beginning, and then it's going to start falling downhill shortly.
No, listeners, don't listen to him. It is only going to get better. That was just the beginning of how good it is, and it could only get better. So hang on for more.
Well, at least the interview will be better than this conversation. So.
That can only get better. So we're trying to create I just was reviewing with friends again this weekend that the secret to life is having a very low bar. And I know some do not agree with that, but I really feel like it has served me incredibly well because everything is, wow, that went so much better than I would have expected. So it's a strategy.
Yeah, and those are kind of my expectations when I go into conversations with you, but
oh gosh, I gotta get
burn on a Monday.
I gotta work on my sick burns. I'm not doing so well with those, so I gotta start firing those off a little bit quicker. But yeah, so today we are speaking to an international woman of mystery. She's done a lot of very cool work internationally and as well as in the United States. So she's a dual country powerhouse, I guess. Could you say that?
Are you trying to coin a new phrase?
I'm working really hard to coin a new phrase.
I think you're going to need to workshop that a little bit more.
I know. Well, on a side note, I'm taking a marketing class right now so I can compete with you. And was just listening to an interview with a company that did coin the phrases like soccer mom, and they give a whole list of, I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know where those came from. So maybe this is my version of coining. What was it again? I already forgot.
It was like dual country person. It was something non-memorable.
Nonsensical. Well, anyways, I don't want that to take away from our amazing person that we are interviewing today. And regardless of what title I'm saying, it will not do her justice. Because today we are going to be speaking with Amanda Puentes. And I met her, I don't know, probably it's almost been 2 years, and she's very cool. And the second I met her, I thought, oh, I want you to come on to the podcast and talk to everybody because she just has a lot to share. And I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then you'll get to learn a lot about her and her work that she has done here in the United States and internationally. And Jonathan, something that, I don't know, maybe you've thought about this, starting your own nonprofit.
Yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yes, actually I have.
You love the profit, so.
But most of my, volunteer work is these days spent helping you with tech problems. So
that's your nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you don't receive any profit for that. So there you go. But she has a legitimate nonprofit, and I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then we'll get started. So Amanda Puentes is a bilingual speech and language pathologist. She's the founder of Project Speech and Project Speech International, which is her nonprofit. She graduated from the University of South Florida and has specialized in pediatrics since entering the field in 2013. Amanda has worked in a variety of settings as well as volunteered in Latin America. She's trained professionals, mentored students, and supported families in those countries. So we are excited to speak with Amanda. So welcome to Amanda Puentes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you guys and share.
Yeah, you have been somebody that I've been interacting with and doing different projects with for some time now. And I think I mentioned that very first time we spoke, we do a podcast. I want you in the podcast. And then I just kept saying it. And then finally I beat you down. So you're here. I'm so happy.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous for podcasts.
Oh, Listen, I know you. You can talk to anyone about anything. We've had some conversations that were supposed to be short that ended up being very, very
I
long.
know.
So this will just be one of those, one of our conversations
Yeah.
that turns out to be long. So, yeah. Well, I feel like I was thinking about this question that I want to ask you and thinking, I don't even know her whole story. So I would love to just know, what is your story? How did you get here professionally? And just tell us about this road to this current spot.
Oh, my journey.
Your
my
journey.
my twisty turny journey.
Yes.
So I back in the olden days when I was in graduate school in 2013, which feels like forever ago, I knew I wanted to work with kids. So after I graduated, I took a travel contract and I was relocated to South Florida, worked in some schools. And that's actually where I wanted to be, was in schools. I was like, this is where I want to go when I graduate. I want to work in schools. And then I realized I don't really want to be in schools. No offense to school SLPs. It's just really tough. And I felt like it was really held back by always having to tie it to academic impact, which, I mean, it's great for schools and it makes sense. But sometimes there's other areas that I want to work on that maybe I can't tie directly to academic impact. So I started looking for some PRN work to dabble in outpatient, and that's where I really fell in love with it. And then I took a job at a hospital in South Florida and really liked working the outpatient, being able to have more control of how I treat my patients, how often I can see them, and just being able to learn from being on an interdisciplinary team and learn from other disciplines. And then I totally missed a spot there. So
you took out one of your memories?
I took out one of my memories. They're coming back.
I hope it wasn't because it was bad. What was it?
No, it was good. When I was in schools, this is kind of what triggered it, was I took a summer position in Mexico. And that's where I really found myself being happy and passionate and just kind of feeling, it's kind of corny to say, but kind of feeling like alive, like this is what I want to do. And that's when I realized, like, I don't think I can stay in schools because I want to do more. And in the summer position I took in Mexico, it was working on an interdisciplinary team. So I worked with an OT and a PT and some of the professionals in the clinic that positions that we don't have here in the States, but there was like a support team for the clinic, and it was really nice. And we helped them develop an interdisciplinary progress monitoring tool, because it was a nonprofit center that I was working at, and this is through the travel company that they had given me a assignment there, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I really like international work, and I really like working with a team of professionals, not just always just sticking to my lane of speech, but also being able to dabble in applying maybe some OT strategies. I was really new into the field as being a speech therapist, and I didn't, in grad school, you don't really cover all that. So that's kind of where the seed was planted, and that's when I was like, let me try some outpatient work. I did the outpatient work for a while, but then I still had like the international bug, and I was like, I need more freedom. I want to do international. And so I had a quarter life crisis is the best way to explain it. I like quit my job and like sold my house and like gave my cat to my mom. And I was like, I'm moving to Belize. And I'm like to partner with a company, Therapy Abroad, to do mentoring and consulting with families and professionals there. So a little kind of similar to my role that I was doing in Mexico. And that's where I decided to start Project Speech after I was like, I'm changing lanes. And then Project Speech was born. And I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but this is what I'm going to do with it right now. And I just kind of took it a step at a time. I took a ton of CEU courses to kind of help me learn. And I networked with a lot of people just to have just like information and just people I could lean on, people I could refer to, different disciplines. And, working in Belize was really solidified that I wanted to stay in the international realm, but I still really care about my South Florida community.
We'll be right back to our interview. We just want to take a brief moment to shout out the company that makes this show possible, Med Travelers. If you are a therapist interested in traveling, visit medtravelers.com to explore the amazing benefits that Med Travelers has to offer. Featuring short and long-term contract opportunities at leading facilities across the country with higher earning potential, W-2 employee status, and a flexible schedule, Med Travelers is your advocate for career success. Visit medtravelers.com to begin your travel adventure today. And now back to the show. So one of the things I want to definitely talk about is your clinic, your baby, Project Speech. And I know I remember so many people in grad school would say, I want to start my own clinic. I want to have my own private practice. And I think when they actually start looking into it and thinking about all the steps, it becomes daunting. And a lot of people say, never mind, I don't want to do that. But it sounds like part of what led you to want to do that is that you loved having some of that control and autonomy over who you were seeing, how you were seeing them. So I'd love to know a little bit more about what led you to start your own business and what was that motivation behind that?
So it's funny that you say that, because when I was in grad school, I was like, I never want to open a private practice. Like, I never want.
That's why you got one.
I was like, taking that shoe out of my mouth. Like, I never wanted to open one. I was like, that's so much work, and I just want to have those sweet school hours, and vacations.
My spring break, my summers.
Yeah, exactly. It was really opening the practice. At first I was like, I'll just do it on the side, just, do it. And that way I can still keep, I was afraid to make the jump. So I was like, I'll still keep my, my like hospital per diem job. I had changed from a children's hospital to just like a general hospital. And I was like, I'll just keep my, my per diem job and do this. And then I realized I wanted more and more freedom and more, just wanted more out of what I was doing as a speech therapist. I was really like at a burnout point, when I had started Project Speech. That's where I had that little crisis, and I was like, I'm selling everything, giving a cat to my mom and moving to Belize.
Mom's like, I don't want the cat.
I wanted the cat, but she wasn't ready. She did come to Belize, but she wasn't ready at that point. But she did come. She's an international kitty.
The cat?
The cat came to Belize. Her eyes were like, they were huge when she got off that plane and realized we were going into the jungle. And she was just like, where are you taking me now?
She's like, is this the end?
Giving me away.
What did I do? Yeah. I think we're giving cats a lot of credit right now.
I give my cat a lot of credit. She's put up with a lot. So, but it's just kind of like, I really wanted to be able to be in control of my schedule, control of my patients that I saw. And that this really gave me the ability to do that. And that's kind of how, being able to manage going to Belize and coming here and having that flexibility wouldn't have been possible with a typical job.
Now, did you have a brick and mortar clinic while you were still going back and forth to Belize, or was it not until? So, how were you doing? How were you seeing your patients at that time? Was it in home or
in home?
Okay.
In the schools, right? And then that was my plan. I was just going to do in home and in the schools, keep my overhead really low, especially since I didn't know, like, this is something I really want to do long term. And I was just getting my feet wet. This was in 2017. And that's how I kept it for a while. I kept my little per diem, home and schools. That was it. But then I decided to make the switch to full-time in clinic once I decided, okay, I need to kind of get serious and build up a sustainable caseload for myself and expand, because I really started enjoying being able to have my own practice. So you're kind of like proud. You're like, wow, I did this. And especially when your kids start graduating and you were seeing them in your practice and then they graduated and you're like, this is such a cool feeling, So...
Why did you decide to do the brick and mortar instead of continuing that way? Like, what was the reason for? Because again, like you said, you had no overhead. You didn't have.
So COVID happened. COVID happened. It changed
That's like
a lot of
sentence
stuff
now.
for me. I lost the option to have my per diem because they cut all the per diem staff. But I was already planning leaving. I had already pulled back I carried a caseload. It was per diem, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with per diem in a hospital. When it's outpatient, you carry a caseload. It's just you can carry as many hours as you want. So I had already told them, I'll just come in and help out with evals or cover when someone goes on vacation. And I'm going to go full time. And then that was like March 1st. I was set to start full time on my own. And then COVID happened and everything shut down.
What
and
timing?
Then I had to become a teletherapist, which was a journey. And I was like,
because you couldn't see any of your patients. I mean, you had no private clients, no outpatient.
I was just done. And I was like, what I'm going to do. And I moved very quickly. As soon as I saw that it started, impacting children, as soon as that started making it into the news, I was like, oh no, we got to move to teletherapy. I had piloted a program back in my graduate project at USF for teletherapy. So it wasn't like I was completely unfamiliar with it. And I had actually been kind of advocating for teletherapy when I was at the Children's Hospital to try and access these families are driving 2 hours to see me for an eval. And I was like, how are you going to come see me for therapy? A couple times a week. That is not going to happen. So, I was already thinking about teletherapy, and, I had been thinking about it for a while. And then I was just like, this is it. I have to do this, because if not, what am I going to do? Right? I just can't not work. I have a cat to support.
And that's crazy. And I mean, this cat has been through so much. Well, and I mean, we understand and appreciate the priorities here, Amanda. I feel the same way about my dog. But it's so interesting hearing you say that, because here we are in a field where we think we're always going to be needed. There's not enough of us. And you would never think that we would be in a position where, sorry, you're not going to be able to earn income right now because of whatever reasons.
And I was like, that's it. I'm going to do teletherapy. And then, I was like, I really want a little brick and mortar. This is so nice not having to drive And I was like, nobody's going to let us into the schools. Right. I'm still the schools that I was going into. They're still not letting people into the schools to come do therapy.
Wow.
And then going into the homes wasn't exactly a safe option with COVID. And people don't really want you in their homes with COVID. And I applied for.
Yeah, it's kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming from different homes into your home. It's not like I'm coming from my home to your home. So I would be the same way. I'd be like, oh, you can go shower.
How many other homes have you been in today?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Long-term goal was always to open a brick and mortar and have more of a team. And I like that team environment. I'm a little chatty. So I like to have people I can talk to and bounce ideas off of. I mean, I think it's a speechy thing. And so I applied for a grant with the county. They were giving out grants to small businesses, part of the CARES Act. And with that, I was able to open a brick and mortar. If it wouldn't have been for that grant, I don't know when I would have been able to open a brick and mortar. Because there's a lot of costs that come with opening a brick and mortar. It's not just like, rent. No, there's like a lot of stuff you don't think about. So,
which is, I think, why a lot of people think they want to do it, then look into it and say, oh, wait, never mind. Because you're right. It's not as easy as, oh, tomorrow I shall do this. And now I'm doing it.
No, it's not. But I love it. I like having the option to work from home. But I really do like being able to have the parent come, working with them in a space that, is maybe not as distracting as the home. Mind you, I am really big on parent coaching and creating interventions that are sustainable when across environments. In that parent, that's how the parent coaching program came about. And, that is always forefront, right, in my mind. But brick and mortar is something that I think is necessary, especially in the COVID era. I found that a lot of families wanted the option to come in and do brick and mortar because not everybody's a good candidate for teletherapy. And
100%.
So that's kind of where that's how this happened. The brick and mortar happened.
Now, looking back, are you glad you went in and started your own practice and business? Do you wish you had not? What's your kind of final verdict on that right now?
I'm super glad I started my own business. Like, I'm really glad. It makes me feel fulfilled, to be able to work for myself. Well, when I started off as a speech therapist, I kind of worked for myself. I was a contractor in schools. I mean, I worked for a travel company, a travel speech therapy company, but I wasn't ever really part of like the school team in that sense. Yeah. I mean, that's just I worked really nicely with my school staff and I loved it. I still talk to like my AP and my teachers and, we're still friends. We hang out and stuff. But I think I really enjoy working for myself, and having the flexibility to be like, I'm going to go overseas or I'm going to do whatever.
Yeah, you can make your own schedule. It's almost like the best of both worlds because you kind of can create your summer schedule and you get to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So it sounds like that was like you're exactly where you need to be, which is such a nice place to. Some people I think go their whole career and don't find that. So that's awesome that you found that. And I want to talk too, because you've done something pretty unique. I think it's very unique. And I don't know anybody else who's done this besides you. So in addition to the practice, so your clinic is Project Speech, But in addition, you have also just started a nonprofit. So, and that is called Project Speech International. Tell us what it is and what caused you to get it started, or what led to you wanting to start that.
So that was also because of COVID. COVID brought out
a lot of good things came from COVID for you
me.
too.
I mean, a lot of hard times, but a lot of innovation, a lot of thinking outside the box, and quick problem solving really happened. I think it happened for like the majority of us. The majority of people I know, like they had to switch gears and had different outlooks on life from this whole pandemic. So I was in a leadership program in winter 2020. And I think it started in like December, January, around December 2019. And we had to pick a project. And I knew I wanted to do something with international. We had to pick a project and kind of develop it. And I wanted to just travel to Belize and kind of take some of my friends that were SLPs for us to go travel and like touch base with some families and kind of, come in and then I realized like that wasn't going to happen because like the whole world shut down and there's no traveling, right? And then I was like, well, maybe it's not even a good project anyways, because it definitely is not sustainable. Like coming in, working with someone for a very short period of time and then leaving doesn't really do much. And that was always the issue I had when I was doing my work, was that I felt like, I worked with these families and then I'd never see them again after I worked with them for maybe like a day or like 3 days, maybe like 5 days. Like that was cool. But,
like you're fixed. It's all better now.
Yeah. And
here you go.
Or like a parent, like you're like, this is what you need to do. And this parent's like, I don't even know like where to start. And you're like, just like throwing stuff at them and they don't even have time really to process. And
just do these 50 things and you'll be on your way. And then you won't see me ever again.
Speech therapy was only so easy.
True.
But that's when because of doing teletherapy, and I had some really good success with teletherapy and some of my families that transitioned, when the parents, mind you, I was seeing these kids in the school, like some of these kids I was seeing in the schools, right? And the parents were kind of detached. And that, I didn't like that. And it wasn't detached like because they didn't care. We would still talk and, we'd still debrief. It was just because they were at work and I was at the school with the kid and they couldn't see what was happening. So that's really hard to generalize. And when I switched over to teletherapy in the clinic, that's when I realized, wow, my Hannon training really comes in handy. I don't know if you know about the Hannon program, but it's like a parent, right? Yeah. Parent training, parent coaching. And I was like, wow, this is...
Got my book back there.
I think I see it.
It's I have in the shelf
mine's
with all
over
the
here
other
holding things up. Yes. But
if you could see
I saw so like some of my kids just blossomed when I saw the parents like click, and then just working with the parents, and I saw kids go from minimally verbal to like chatty Cathy's in like a very short period of time. And I was like, this is what we need to do. We need to focus on the parent, because if we can teach the parent is with the child all the time and we're going to get better results. And so that's kind of where like this kind of started all coming together with the project, the international portion. And I was like, I wonder if anyone would be interested in parent coaching. And so I started like sending some like Facebook messages and posting a couple little flyers I had made here and there on some parent groups, or just randomly like sending it to friends in Belize or family in Belize, and I got a pretty good response to it. And so the program kind of took off, and that's where we do. So we have this international parent coaching program, right? So, and we were really clear, like, this is not meant to replace speech therapy. We actually I had reached out to some of the speech therapists I knew, like in Belize and in the Dominican Republic. And, we're like, hey, are there any kids right now that like need speech therapy, but like they can't get to you, or they can't afford you right now, or you have a wait list and they're just waiting? And they're like, yeah. And they sent them my information, and they contacted me, because this is very much meant to be just a bridge. It is not meant to replace speech therapy. In-person speech therapy is not replaceable, right? But, if I could train the parent, then I could, give that kid more of a chance to develop than just kind of waiting.
Yeah, because and I've always felt like it was a little bit backwards. And I think that COVID, that is another great thing, is that so many times even other professionals don't know what we do, much less the parents. And so it's like, why do we think that 30 minutes or an hour once a week, or however often we see them in isolation, and then saying, okay, now go and transfer all these skills? It just doesn't work like that. So I agree with you. It's why work with the child, but also working with the people that the child's with all the time. Because if they're getting that model or that work throughout the day, that's where change happens. It's not in our 30 minutes. So I think that was so great that you had that realization. And you are exactly right too, because I actually became aware of you through one of these ads and said, I want to do this, and actually did see one of these families. And I'll tell you that in the beginning I thought, how is this going to work? I wonder if and it is incredible when you have that family buy-in and they're motivated. I could not believe what we accomplished with our sessions from one country to another.
Right. And it's not even like all the time, right? So the model, and the model is loosely based off of that early intervention model, where you come in for 1 hour, right? And, 30 minutes to an hour, as we know, technical difficulties occur with internet, or even just timing, right? Different time zones. Yeah. So it was like 30 minutes to an hour, try to meet weekly, at least 2 times a month, and just really just be a pillar for this parent, and show them what you know in the best way, the best you can. And help them practice, and have them send you videos of them doing it, right? Because that video coaching is really effective, right? I use it here in the clinic, where I'm like, I want you to try this at home. Yeah. Send me a video, or come in with a video after, the next session, so I can see how you're doing it. And then we can talk about it and tweak it, because it's all great in theory, and then in practice, I mean, even us, like me starting out, I was like, oh yeah, that's so easy. And then I'm like, well, this is really hard. So
when you're actually tasked with doing it, it's like, oh, wait.
Yeah. So, and these parents, they're not speech therapists, they're parents, they have, some of them have amazing careers, and that's still not speech therapy, right? I don't know what my chiropractor does. I don't know I can watch it, but I don't, unless he would teach me how to do it, I wouldn't know what to do. Right. So, we have had 50 families come through our program already. Some are still active, some have graduated. And we hear so much feedback, local organizations started really supporting us, and referring us, families that are, this is happening, there's a wait list. I had kids that were on the wait list for 3 years,
Wow.
or
So it was
It's
obviously needed.
but it's not meant to. It was never. So they'll be like, "Oh, I'm here for speech." You know, when we do we interview the parents and make sure that they understand, like, this is not speech therapy. But the first thing's like, "Oh, I need my child to get speech therapy," and I was like, "Not speech therapy. We're not going to be treating child. You are. So you're going to be working with your kid. We're just here to teach you." And actually, I didn't tell you that it just happened last night. So we were nominated for an award with Go Abroad, Innovation in Philanthropy, and we won last night. We won the award for Innovation in Philanthropy. So,
oh my gosh! Congratulations!
I mean,
well, that's what this project. That's two words that completely embody this project. So that's incredible. I mean,
I was pretty pumped. Still pretty I did not expect to win. I saw like all these other organizations and they were just like doing really amazing things. And then when I saw that we won, I was like, wow. I was like, I guess this is really this is crazy. This is great. Like, I don't even know. Like, I was still processing. But at the end of the day, I never take credit for how successful this program is because it's not successful because of me. It's successful because of the parent coaches that put in the work. I'm just organizing it for everyone. And I'm trying to make sure everything.
Yeah, but if you didn't organize it, it wouldn't happen. So everybody's got
but it takes a whole team, right? Even it takes a team. It takes the dedication of these speech therapists that want to just help out families in their free time. And it's been amazing to see. I thought I was going to have 5 people be like, I'll volunteer. No, I've done over 200 interviews with speech therapists. It's amazing. Our field is amazing. People have such big hearts. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you go into these giving fields. And so I want to know too, okay, so now why would somebody want to start a nonprofit? What was the reason behind that? Why did you want to move it to that? And what benefits come from that? As I have no idea.
I wanted to keep it a nonprofit because I wanted to move it into nonprofit, right? This just started as an idea and it was just kind of something I was running and it wasn't really official. And I was like, it needs funding, right? That's the thing. The program needs funding for it to be able to maintain integrity and provide quality services and be really smooth and grow, because I want to be able to grow this into more than what it is right now. And so the only way we can really do that is through funding. But I would never dream of charging a speech therapist to participate in my program. And I would never, ever, ever dream of charging a family to participate in our program. That's not the point of the program. So we kind of moved into, I sat on it for a while because I was like, how am I going to do this? And that's when, my board, I have a board, we talked about it and we're like, let's do the nonprofit. That way we can apply for grants and, we can
So it opens doors. Having a nonprofit, you can qualify for grants or funding that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Exactly. Okay. And this program isn't for profit. Point blank.
It's non-profit.
It's not. We're still doing everything for free right now. As best as we can. It's definitely hard running a clinic and growing a clinic and then growing a program. It is very, very challenging. The speech therapist, it's like my right hand, Zidane. She helps me with the program. She works here in the clinic. And every time I'm like, hey, I have an idea. She's like,
she's like, no.
Let me sit down. Oh, Lord, let me sit down real quick. She's like, you need to stop taking...
Amanda, you and I have that in common. The producer, Jonathan, and I say, I had a thought. He's like, oh, sorry, I lost connection. Click. So you and I together would be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm a dreamer, baby. Just dreaming up all these ideas. And sometimes people have to be like, come back to earth.
Yeah, but you know what? If you don't think of it, you never know. It's some ideas are good, or I shouldn't say good, but will work, and some won't. But it's always you got to keep having those ideas because otherwise, this wouldn't have come about.
No, and it's not like everything was like I've been planning this for years. This started in July, right? We started in July.
So coming up on a year.
Not even a year. It hasn't even been a year that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
Jen, you were in the first round of parents. You saw I was a little choppy coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what I love that you all did, which I think is so important when doing anything with international groups. And I've worked with Spanish speaking families for most of my career. And I love that it wasn't, there was, we're going to learn about their culture, their thought process, their beliefs, what's important to them. Because I think it's far too easy for us to think, well, here I am. I'm this SLP. I'm here to save the day. And it doesn't work like that. So you have to meet them where they're at. And I actually learned a lot about Belize from your training and kind of onboarding with that. So even you say choppy, I was very impressed. So I can't imagine what you've done now.
We're trying to get it more refined now. But it is definitely, it's important to be a culturally responsive practitioner, which is like a mouthful, that phrase, but it is so important to be one. When I was in grad school, we took a cultural diversity, multicultural was a class, multiculturalism. It was one of our required courses. And I had my professor there. She was amazing, Dr. Brea Spahn. She's actually over at NYU now. And she started that thought process for me. And she actually consulted with me on developing the cultural responsive practices, self-study that I make everyone do before they start working, because I need you to start looking at yourself. And the funny thing is that this program is not meant for the parent just to learn. It's meant for the clinician to also learn. It's meant for the clinician to take what they're learning and apply it into their practice and just become a better clinician, because it is not easy, which is why we do like our interviewing. We can't accept everyone. We make sure you have to have some experience, because this is it's really hard to come in as a novice and be able to really understand and do this. And I mean, I love CFs. CFs are passionate. They're amazing, but you got to have a little bit of experience to come in and understand, just how to really hold your own as a professional, but also learn as a professional from someone. Yeah. And that's why we thought it was really important to include that aspect into the program from the beginning, not to wait and, come into this meeting. No, it's like a requirement. You have to do this. You have to look at yourself. I need you to read ASHA articles and do self-surveys and, watch videos and do courses and really take a minute to process who you are as a person before you're a clinician and what you're going to bring to the table. Because these families, some of them, have never met a speech therapist. And so they don't know. They think we're just like a doctor, something like.
Well, it's intimidating. It's someone coming in. And now, is there a new cohort starting for anyone listening? How would they get involved if they want to?
So,
be part of this next
we're
group?
We're actually opening up today. We're opening up the applications, for new parent coaches. We're always accepting families, but now we're changing our model. Starting in July, where instead of accepting a cohort every 6 months, we're going to be starting a cohort every month. Because some of these, it's kind of hard to have a parent wait. It rubs me the wrong way to have to waste developmental time And like, you're just working against the clock. As soon as that parent contacts me, even here in the clinic, as soon as they contact me, I know that clock is ticking. There's a delay, most of the time. Sometimes they contact you and there's no delay. And you're like, you get to tell them like the great news, like, your kid is typical, nothing's going on, right? Thanks for contacting me. I'm glad that you were so proactive, but we're doing okay. You're doing a good job. But when it comes to like wasting time for parent coaching, I don't want to do that. And so now we've decided to push forward starting in July to start just one every month. And it's going to be a lot of work. But
so how would people, if somebody's interested, where will they go? Where can they go to apply?
They can go to projectspeechinternational.org. And then you can look through. There's a volunteer portion where you can apply, and it's a Google form you fill out. And
so we'll put that in the show notes too for anybody who's interested. Yeah. Well, and I want to ask, because I'm just curious. So you've got this nonprofit. We understand why you did it. I love that you're doing it. It's such an important reason. How did you even know? If somebody's listening that thinks, I've always dreamed of starting a nonprofit, what was step one? Because I'm thinking, Google, how do I start a nonprofit? What did you do? And did you have to involve like an attorney, or an accountant? What are your steps, and how, if somebody else was interested, what would they do?
So the first thing we did is I actually reached out to my attorney, and she handles consulting for the business, and I just asked her, like, what do I do, right? Aside from Googling,
she was your Google.
But also, I've always had an interest in nonprofits, and I've always, it's like this part of me that's always been wanting to like give back above and beyond. And so like I ordered this book off Amazon, like Nonprofits for Dummies. So it was like the nonprofit handbook. Yeah. And
I love those books. It's truly, they do what they say.
Statistics. Nonprofit.
Yes.
Statistics for Dummies got me through statistics.
Listen, those books are popular for a reason. So
I, doing some reading. And then the key thing was meeting with a business consultant. That was the key thing. Not just, when I opened my clinic, I just went through like LegalZoom or whatever, and just click, opened it. And I was like, I don't understand half the stuff that I'm a speech therapist. So I'm like, yeah, that looks about right. And, but for the nonprofit, I knew better. So I reached out to a business consultant. It was recommended to me by a friend, and actually.
And is that somebody who specializes in starting nonprofits, or what? What's a business consultant?
Consultant is a consultant for your business. It's someone who who you can work with towards kind of establishing your goals, or just teaching you aspects of business. Along the way, I've always kind of worked with a business consultant since I started getting like serious about project speech. I reached out to the Small Business Administration. I also joined programs like the Independent Clinician. Now I'm in. I was in the Grow Your Private Practice program. Now I'm in the six-figure practice program. So doing, working with consultant, and these programs that I've been involved with, they are, geared towards speech therapist, right? So that's really important to make sure that you find like a little group that is in your field, because, our field's not that big. But then I also worked with the Small Business Administration to just kind of figure out more like just business 101. Like, it was a lot of trial and error. And then when I went to open the nonprofit, I took some of that experience, right? Because a nonprofit is still a business. I mean, it still has a lot of the same aspects of a business. It's just that it's a nonprofit, it's not for profit. So,
I mean, there's still taxes. It's basically just like you said. I mean, it has all the aspects of a typical business.
yeah. And then there's like some like we're still waiting for, which that I didn't know. You can be a nonprofit. We're registered with the state. We're a nonprofit in Florida. But you have to register with the IRS for and that's where the business consultant comes in and kind of walks you through and lets you know this is okay. Well, and then like this is what you want to do. Well, these are kind of the steps you have to take. The paperwork you need to complete, and then also I'm always like a million ideas, and they're like, no. Come back to earth. You need you can't live up in the clouds, Amanda. You got to come back down. And so they'll kind of, a good business consultant, which I was really lucky to work with a really good business consultant out of the Small Business Administration here, the FAU campus, throughout COVID. Until like, I was like, okay, I think I got it a little bit. Let me keep working. So that's really important. And
so basically so you did a lot of proactive research. It sounds like you needed to go, business consultant was key, attorney, IRS, but it sounds like you had to be really proactive.
Talking to an accountant, imperative.
Yeah.
Making sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because there's so many different types of businesses you can open.
When you never want to get in trouble with the IRS. It just is one of those groups that no news from them is good news.
Exactly. But yeah, that's kind of like when you want to start something like a business, that researching and really reaching out to professionals that's they know, like they can answer.
Networking,
knowing someone that can answer your questions is very important. You can't always just Google it, because there's a lot of misinformation on Google that can really lead you down like to the IRS knocking on your door. So,
well, or like every time I go to the doctor and I said, Dr. Google told me I have, it's like, stop going to Dr.
I tell
Google.
my parents all the time.
I understand these rabbit holes.
I tell them all the time when they come in for evals. I was like, do not Google this. Do not Google it, because you're going to scare
well,
yourself.
They go right away and Google
it. I know you said, but
you can't.
I Googled it anyways. And I'm like, what did it come with?
So just like
death?
Yeah. No, it's always death. So, but even if it's probably tax related, death. Well, and I want to know too, just as kind of we wrap up, because I feel like you've done so much. You've got this clinic. You started, all of this during the pandemic. I'm thinking, wow, you really were, I was reorganizing closets and you were opening a business and starting a nonprofit. So we had a different, but when you look down the road and you said you're a big dreamer, what in 10 years, what in 5 years, what in 10 years, what is Project Speech or clinic look like? And then what do you feel like Project Speech International looks like?
So that's a good question. 10 years is a long time, right?
Let's say 5. We'll do 2. 6 months.
But, ideally, I would want the clinic to, I've been trying for a while to kind of expand, open a second location. There's a really underserved area in my county. It's really west. It's like almost an hour from my clinic, but like there's no speech therapists out there. So like I really want to sorry, I like keep going like I really want, but I spoke to I'm like that person. I like pick up the phone. I'm like, hey. So I called like the pediatricians. Good. I called like some medical professionals out there, and I was like, you guys don't have a speech therapist out there? I worked out there for 2 years in a school, and I was like, there's really no speech therapists out here, and there's the need. And it's like a smaller town, but there's a lot of little small towns. I really want to open a second location out there. It's Belle Glade is the area. It's it's just kind of like it's needed. It's really needed. And
And are you still hiring? Are you still looking to hire speech pathologists?
right now we put a pause on that. We had some interviews. We're kind of
Okay.
like feeling it out. But right now we put a
So I was gonna make a plug for you.
right now we put a pause on that. But
Okay.
we're trying to expand here in our current clinic, and then hopefully in the next year or so expand out to Belglade and
Gotcha.
staff out there. So that's really what I want, and I would love to be able to offer OT too, to like really like involve, like so many of my kids could benefit from OT, and
Yeah.
so I would,
Such a nice
it is a
pairing,
really nice,
SLPs and OTs. And,
yeah,
yeah.
and
So you want to expand your current, what you're doing currently. You'd love to have an OT. You would love to have a greater reach to the more rural, underserved
Yeah.
areas. And then what about for Project Speech International? What does that look like?
that's a whole nother thing. So I would love to, well, what we're working on right now is we're working on compiling a book of strategies of that the parent coaches have been using, and to sell, to help raise money, but more like ideas for parents in their everyday routine, like how they have those like practical, those kindergarten, those pre-K prep books, kind of like that for like language. So we're working on that. So my hope is that does some good, and we can really, help fund Project Speech and help these parents that, hey, they're in they're here in speech therapy, but maybe they want some more ideas for home, and, they can use the book. So that's something that's coming down the pipeline. And then also, I really would love to be able to just grow in the Dominican Republic and Belize, and be able to support more local clinicians and families as time progresses, partner with local schools or, medical offices, and do some more training. The dream is to take us down there, once everything's good for travel, now that everything's starting to open up for travel internationally, like take us down there to meet the families and maybe do like in person, like cultural immersion, for like a week, where you get to meet your family you've been helping, and then you also get to learn more about their culture and experience. Like, yes, like what we see is like the sad side. We see like the delay and like the struggle, but like there's Belize and Dominican Republic are just beautiful countries, and the culture is so beautiful. And I don't want it to be all doom and gloom, right? Like I want it for you guys to also understand like how amazing it is for them to live there. Yes, there's a struggle, but they're also amazing places to live. So,
Yeah, I love that. And that's just that creates that continuity of care too, where you've got this established relationship, they're receiving this parent coaching support, and then to have that full circle moment to meet in person. And yeah, I think that's incredible. Well, Amanda, you have just done so many really cool things, and I feel like you've done things that are not easy. You've taken the hard path, but it's really seems like so far it's paying off. And I think there's only going to be really great things to come. So I encourage anybody to go and check out your website, apply. I did it. It's a really cool program. I recommend it to anybody. And something I think is important to note too, because I didn't know this, is that in Belize, it's mainly English speaking, whereas Dominican, it's Spanish. And I was like all ready to work with my family Spanish speaking. They're like, no, we want to work in English. It was like, so that's something I think people could think, well, I can't do it because I don't speak Spanish. You don't need to.
So that is the big thing also. Like when you apply, if you decide to apply to be a parent coach, there's no translator. We're not using translator. It kind of takes away from the experience, right? So if you speak Spanish, I'm going to try and pair you with a Spanish-speaking family, right? So Dominican Republic and in Belize, there is Spanish-speaking families. But Belize was settled by the British. They have multiple, they have a ton of languages that they speak there. But the language of schooling is English. So.
Yeah, that was new. I did not know that. So I was like, oh, I'm all ready to. But yeah, so don't be afraid of that. If that's something you're thinking, I don't speak that language, you do. Or if you speak Spanish, there's opportunities. And is there also a way as well that, and maybe you don't have it up now, but that if somebody wanted to support or donate to the Project Speech International, is there going to be an opportunity for that on your website?
It's up. There is a button to donate. We also have, we sell like apparel, like t-shirts, our merch. We have some merch. We sell like stickers and like a t-shirt and stuff, just to try and get some funding. But that's all on our website.
Yeah.
The merch is on Redbubble. And you can access it all by going to projectspeechinternational.org. If you want to just poke around and be nosy about my clinic or know someone in the, Palm Beach County area that maybe could benefit from coming to see us, that is projectspeechtherapy.com. So it's two different websites, but
projectspeechtherapy.com, projectspeechinternational.org.
We're an organization.
That's what I was going to say. Okay. So, yes. Well, Amanda, I think you're just so wonderful, and I appreciate all that you're doing for this field, and I'm excited to see what comes. And thank you so much for being our guest today. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. This has been fun.
And that wraps up this episode. Thank you for tuning into SLP Full Disclosure. For more information about this episode, check out the show notes on our website at medtravelers.com/SLP Full Disclosure. And don't forget to leave us a review and subscribe so you never miss a guest. Are you interested in becoming a travel SLP? Visit medtravelers.com to learn more and explore the exciting opportunities we offer at top-level facilities across the country. Also, a special thanks to Jonathan Carey for producing this episode and Aiden Dykes for the music and editing. And as always, this episode was powered by Med Travelers. See you next time.